Hey guys, this is the first chapter of Elizabethan England, Elizabeth and her government. So Elizabeth was a daughter of Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn. She was illegitimate because Henry VIII had issued himself a divorce himself rather than accepting it from the church. Some advantage of Elizabeth's reign was the fact that she had English parents. Society was very xenophobic. They didn't want foreign influence. Secondly, she was very well educated. She could communicate with the people. She spoke several languages. And obviously, this wasn't expected of women. Number three was the fact that her popularity, so people saw a fresh start and a new beginning. Her disadvantages include the fact that she was a female, her gender, so she was a female, and people felt like they should be suppressed by men. Secondly was her religion, so she was Protestant, whereas the majority of the population were Catholic. So she had to tolerate this, and this became known as religious settlement. Then we have illegitimacy, so she was a legitimate child. Then Mary, Queen of Scots, her cousin, had more right to the throne than she did. She was pro-French, she was Catholic, she was legitimate. She married Lord Darnley and had a heir, so she was obviously more legitimate than her. Some pros of marrying included having a heir. This would mean eliminating Mary's chance of getting on the throne. Secondly, it meant she would give people what they wanted, a man to control her. It also meant increasing power. For example, by marrying Spain, it would increase power because Spain was one of the largest growing countries in the world. Disadvantages of marrying include the fact that child labour is very dangerous, so risking having a child would mean death. She also used the Virgin Mary propaganda, so that wouldn't work to her advantage. Then also the fact that society was very xenophobic. They didn't want foreign influence. And by marrying someone, she would have to give her power. She didn't want that. Some of her aspects to her government include the Privy Council. Privy Council advised her, carried out the laws, etc. They included some of her close advisors, for example, William Cecil and Robert Dudley, who were both Puritans. Puritans are strict-believing Protestants. We also had the local government. These collected taxes and settled disputes. We also had the royal court. This was basically the showcase of wealth and power. And last but not least, Parliament. Parliament, although it wasn't very strong because Elizabeth could admit it and dismiss it whenever she wanted to, if they agreed on something, it was hard for Elizabeth to refuse. Now, Elizabeth, she pretended to listen to the Parliament by calling it. She pretended to listen, but she didn't actually carry out it. Their actions and advice, this made them feel more powerful. But obviously, it was just a pretense. Norfolk Rebellion so involved Duke of Norfolk, who was going to marry Mary and replace Elizabeth. It involved Spain as well as the Earls and stuff. So the Earls had lost a lot of power since Elizabeth's reign. So the Earl of Northumberland and Westmorland, they led a rebellion and they started destroying Protestant evidence from churches and started destroying everything. As a result, they quickly surrendered because they were surrounded by troops. Because Spain, it was meant to send more, however, it didn't. So obviously there was more support on Queen Elizabeth's side. This led to the harsher treatment of nobles as well as Catholics, as well as their land being confiscated. Rodolphi plot involved the Queen, Mary, Queen of Scots, involved Duke of Norfolk again, Rodolphi, and the Pope. The Pope had excommunicated Elizabeth, so it was easy to kill her, and Catholics were offered forgiveness if they did. And Duke of Norfolk was going to marry Mary, put her on the throne, and replace her. So they signed a letter, and they're gonna plan it and execute the plan. However, William Cecil quickly discovered this plan, and it was undercovered and put down. Essex Rebellion. So at Robert de Vere, sorry if that's how you don't pronounce it, but Robert de Vere, he was very close to the Queen. He had the monopoly of sweet wine, so if you're going to trade wine, you had to give money to him. So he became very rich very quickly and very powerful. However, disadvantage was the fact that he offended the Queen in court. He attacked her in court nearly, which placed him under house arrest, as well as seeing her without a wig. Again, that put disadvantages. He also tried to make peace with the Irish rebels. The Queen didn't want that, and so he went against her orders basically, and therefore the Queen didn't renew his sweet monopoly. As a result, he became very poor in debt, and he led a rebellion. However, Cecil quickly labelled him as a traitor. He lost support so easily, and therefore he was put down. Now, the Queen's government, it had a strong spy network. It had loyal Catholics, and people were content. They wanted an English Queen. A government acted decisively and were quick to think and act. So all of these things played an advantage to her. Other things that you need to know, I think you need to know, is about the suitors. So Robert Dudley was a suitable suitor. He was a childhood friend of Elizabeth, as well as the fact that he was Catholic, so religious ideas matched. Disadvantage was he was rumoured to have murdered his previous wife. King Philip, he was Catholic. He was Spanish, so Spain was obviously a powerful country, so it would have increased England's power. However, he was so powerful, England would have already been suppressed by Spain. Duke of Anjou was also a potential suitor. His brother was on the throne. He was heir, so therefore increased power over France as well. Disadvantages include he was very old, so less likely to have a heir. Other disadvantages include the fact that he was Catholic. So this is all of Elizabeth and her government done.